Hello everyone, and welcome to the Funkenstein Wrestling Roundup. Today is May 10th, 2016, and this is episode 6. We are live on the Damage 365 radio network. My name is Babs, and I'm your hostess this evening. The show is now hitting our 6th episode, which is a huge success for the show. And so in the last 5 episodes, we've had Colin West of CTW and UWA Elite. We've had WWE Hall of Famer Cowboy Bob Orton. We've had the CZW champion Matt Tremont, Yolanda of Gimmicks 24/7, and photographer Scott Finkelstein. So this week, my guests are 2 wrestlers well known in the New York, northern New Jersey area. First, the American Nightmare, Logan Black, and Rude Boy Riley. Together, they are known as Scumbag Nation. So after a short break and word from our sponsors, I will get those guys on the phone, and we will be back for our interview.
The following announcement has been paid for by the New World Order.
Hello, ladies. The Big Valboski here, and you're listening to Damage 365 Radio.
Funkenstein Wrestling Superstore, selling wrestling memorabilia from all around the world, including WWE, TNA, Japan, Mexico, and the very best of the independents. They've got action figures, DVDs, autographed memorabilia, t-shirts, and more. Plus, stop in and get tickets for great promotions like UWA Elite, CZW, and many others. Located indoors at the world-famous English Town Flea Market, Green Building, booth number 35 on 90 Wilson Avenue, Manalapan Township, New Jersey. Open every Saturday and Sunday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Log on to Facebook.com/Funkenstein Inc. for more information.
This is the War Machine Rhino, the last ever ECW World Heavyweight Champion, and you're listening to Damage 365 Radio. Keep listening, or you'll get gored in half. WarriorsOfWrestling.com. See roster profiles of past and present Warriors of Wrestling stars. Over 50 highlight videos of Warriors of Wrestling events, full-length matches, order tickets to future Warriors of Wrestling events, and an extensive DVD collection featuring past events, compilations, documentaries, and much, much more. Only at WarriorsOfWrestling.com.
This is Lanny Poffo, formerly the genius full of glory and renown. You are listening to Damage 365 Radio.
The following announcement has been paid for by the New World Order.
Hi everybody, we are back, and unfortunately we couldn't get Rude Boy Riley. He had a little bit of delay, so what we'll do is hopefully bring him back for his own interview. But I do have one half of Scumbag Nation, his partner Logan Black, the American Nightmare. So Logan, thank you for joining me tonight.
Oh, glad to be here. I'm sorry Riley couldn't be here. He's got a big issue with me still in the spotlight, so he's just, it's off.
Oh, wow, we're already getting into the trash talking. It hasn't even been a minute, not even a few seconds, and we're into the trash talking. Nice.
No, I've known Riley forever, so, if he's not trash talking me, I'm trash talking him. It's how we have fun. It's how we say we love each other, I suppose.
That's like brothers.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Again, Logan, thank you for being here. One question I'd like to start with, and I find this really interesting, is how people get interested in wrestling. So, for you, what got you interested in wrestling? How'd that start?
You just opened the Pandora's box, so I'm going to drone on for a bit. I apologize right off the bat. So, my uncle, who was a pro wrestler, I'd say in the early 80s, he was trained in Baltimore somewhere, probably by, some some shindy promoter. Didn't do much of anything, but growing up, I had my uncle who was a humongous wrestling fan, and all of my other uncles are wrestling fans, and his friends are wrestling fans. So all the men that I grew up around and like idolized, were all huge wrestling fans. In fact, if you watch any of the episodes on the network from the Manhattan Center, called like the first year of Raw, my uncle and his friends are all in the same spot, right down the side. It's a fat dude with glasses. I mean, I'm just described quite a few wrestling fans. He's a big fella in glasses, a tall, doofy fella next to him, and another guy who's balding with glasses. Side, and that was them. Those are the dudes I grew up with. And I'd hang this out and I'd watch old NWA pay-per-views like before I was born that he had taped. So I grew up with wrestling around me, and I always swore that it was something that I really wanted to get into. I've got essays from when I was in grade school talking about how I'm going to be a wrestler. I'm going to be a wrestler. And at 19 years old, I signed on at Gleason's gym to train, and haven't looked back since.
Wow, that's awesome. Those old Manhattan Raw, man, those Manhattan shows, they were awesome. Those original Monday Night Raws.
Oh, yeah. I think that was the whole point of them, was to kind of bring wrestling back to, small arenas, keep it intimate, keep the fans super passionate. I mean, it really was the same fans there every week. And they were all the super smart marks of the time, mind you, before the internet. So, like, everybody was on the, the dirt sheets at the time. And that whole crowd was, like, all dirt sheets.
Yeah, there's one guy there, he's always wearing a Bob Backlund, like a WWF, champion Bob Backlund shirt. And I remember he was like in every show. And I would always remember that one guy, and you'd remember these faces.
There was that guy, there was, I think his name was Vladimir the Superfan was another guy, there was a guy in cutoff shirt.
Yes.
There was always like the same fans in the same place. It was similar to ECW, but ECW gets that credit, having their fans in the same seats every single time.
Yeah, that's true. I remember seeing Vlad at like WrestleMania 10. So that I remember. And there's just certain people you're like, even if you don't know who they are, what their names are, you're just like, oh my gosh, I know that guy. Wow, he did last time, And it was kind of cool to see that though. These guys were really passionate, and that crowd, they were really into it, and they really, as the shows went on, they really, really got into it, and really, I think that show would not have become as big as it has been without those people.
I think New York was definitely, they knew it too. They knew that New York was the place to really pull that together. If you look at, the 1-2-3 Kid and his rise, or like that one night sensation kind of thing I had done with him, that was the New York crowd just, trying to mess around with Razor, with the 1-2-3 chants, and, it got over. Boom, one night. Made that guy's career.
That's true, and he came on to really pretty much be the greatest light heavyweight in the United States. I mean, he opened the doors for so many people,
Especially in WWF, because, I mean, up to that point, there really wasn't anybody who was a light heavyweight on the roster who wasn't, either saddled in a tag team or a jobber.
That's true. He was like the first kind of like superstar, guy, and they didn't, it wasn't like they were like saddling him with gold, but he got to reach some really great heights. He was tag team champion, later on, light heavyweight champion, and European champion, I think he was once. So he still had a really sizable career. I mean, D-Generation X, NWO, that's legendary.
Even as simple as him versus Bret Hart on that episode of Raw, the match I still talk to my students about now. It's like, watch this match, watch Bret Hart make this guy credible as a threat to his belt in 12 minutes.
Wow.
It's pretty spectacular. You have a guy again who 5 years prior, even like 3 years prior, wouldn't even be thought to be on the roster, and here he is, with a competitive match in the main event against the heavyweight champion. So, Pop doesn't get enough credit, I don't think, especially with today's fans.
Yeah, it's interesting. When I was a kid, I was watching it, I liked everybody that like Bret Hart took on. So I was like Kurt Hennig, I was like Shawn Michaels, all those guys. Owen Hart was one of my favorites, but now you go back and watch it, and that's what I'm doing right now on the network, and it's like, you really appreciate how good Bret Hart was. Like, those matches are solid. They're still good today.
Oh, yeah, he could drag, broom handles to a watchable match. The guy was incredible. And everything he did was just so matter and made sense. I think I've read his book like 3 or 4 times at this point, just trying to suck at every little detail about his in-ring performance and just the story behind some of those matches. Again, classics with just about everybody. and it seemed almost effortless.
Yeah, absolutely. And what he did, like, what's interesting about Bret Hart is a lot of people don't give him credit for being, like, an innovator. Like, he was the guy who brought the ladder match to the WWF. Like, you know, that was his suggestion. You know, he was one who brought it from Stampede, you know?
Oh, yeah, I mean, it was, again, you're looking at a territory that was known to have nothing but just big, gassed up dudes, which is all that territory was for a while, and then Bret Hart was chosen to be the face of what I guess, I mean, they were calling the new generation at the time.
Right.
But I was having this discussion today with a bunch of friends of mine about, like, the names of the eras that either WWE gives or the fans give. And, again, that new generation era, that was Bret Hart ran that. It was Bret, with Shawn and Owen. I mean, you had Razor and Diesel in there, but you're talking, you know, stepping away from the guys like Hulk and Warrior and, you know, the mid-Carter like Dino Bravo or, you know, Warlord and stuff like that. You got guys who went out there and, you know, could wrestle.
Right. Yeah, it seemed like it was less about huge sort of stereotypical characters like Warlord or Barbarian is another good example, to guys who were just really athletic and really passionate and really, you know, charismatic that could just go. It wasn't so much about the characters for some of these bigger guys in the new generation.
I agree. It was, again, it's so funny that I was just discussing this with people today about how the switch over where WCW, I guess, you know, 2-3 years prior, was putting out Benoit and Scorpio just killing it on pay-per-view, or Brian Pillman and Liger and all these other guys who were incredible in-ring wrestlers, and it was an absolute switch where now WWF was bringing in Sensation Saki as Hakushi, and Michael's going out there and having classic with Jeff Jarrett, and WCW's got, you know, Kabbalah and Earthquake, and, you know, these guys, you know, great workers in their own right, but, you know, certainly not in-ring technicians like the Harts and Michaels. Total switch in terms of the companies at the time.
Yeah, and that's a really good point, that it seemed like, you know, a lot of the guys who were bigger in the 80s in WWF ended up in WCW. Like, you were saying Earthquake was like Shark, and like Brutus the Barber was, I think, Zodiac. They were all part of Kevin Sullivan's stable.
I mean, Bruce Beefcake was about 15 different things before.
That's true.
It's tremendous. I mean, you should go through even everything he was prior to just being the Zodiac. Mm-hmm. I think he had like 3 or 4 gimmicks there. I think he came in as the Butcher, and then was Brother Brutai, and then the Booty Man, and then the Man with No Name, and then became the Zodiac. So, I mean, again, so there's just some nerd out there who's going, you know, no, and changing the order, but there was a lot of names prior to that. It's tremendous.
Yeah, and what was really interesting about, like, when they all went over was they all kind of, like, did something different. So they, like, kind of revitalized themselves. Like, the biggest example being Hulk Hogan himself. Like, that whole new direction. And it was, like, amazing. Like, Hulk Hogan, like, when he was in WWF at that time, you know, yeah, people cheered when he won the belt at WrestleMania 9. But, man, they hated him. Like, you come King of the Ring, he's audibly booed. Like, Yokozuna was more over in the audience than him. You know, they wanted to see him lose. But, man, when he became Hollywood Hogan and went to WCW, he was, like, awesome. Everyone was into it because it was new. But, man, once he became Hollywood Hogan, it was, like, a whole new level of, like, stuff, and it was like amazing, like what he was doing. It just fit perfectly.
Oh, yeah, they did definitely capitalize on, I guess, like the change in, I guess, this pop culture in general. I mean, things were kind of changing around that time, and Hogan was smart enough to kind of see the writing on the wall, and to see, you know, the Hogan as, you know, the Superman beating these monster heels wasn't working the way that it once did. So, you know, he became the monster heel himself. Real smart stuff.
Yeah, it was like, that period was like the rise of the anti-heroes. Like, you had Austin and The Rock, you know, and then, you know, Outsiders and the NWO. It was like, we wanted to cheer those guys who were, you know, kind of bad, really.
Yeah, I think when it comes down to it, again, one of the things that I always discuss with students of mine